Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Good evening. Welcome to your Direct Connection. Our focus tonight is the booming popularity of what some call recreational genetics. That's the ability to have your DNA tested to learn about your background, your family relationships, or perhaps your medical future. Tonight, we connect you with expert answers to your DNA questions. Joining us are Andy Hochreiter and Chuck Hain. Both are genetic genealogists. Gentlemen, thanks to both of you for being with us.
Thank you, Jeff, for the invitation.
Glad you're here. Andy, let's start with the basics on this.
Yes.
So people have seen these things in the drugstore. There's a little test kit. You can spit into a tube or something, send it in. Given that, what can they tell you?
Right. Well, you have two types of tests. Some are cheek swabs and some are spit tubes. And they go into the company labs and they develop them. Then they analyze them and you come out with three different products, basically. It includes your basic raw data, which are all the A's and C's, the base pairs, and how they are reflected in your result. You get your ethnicity, which is analyzed and estimated by the company. And the most important thing you get is your matches, those people that you share DNA with, that you can follow up with, contact, and work back to a common ancestor.
And these aren't random people in the general population. These are people who have done the same thing.
That's right. Yeah, the databases are composed or made up of people who have tested at that particular company. And there's several companies out there that are qualified and reputable that you can test with.
Chuck, how exciting a time is this for somebody like you who has been interested in genealogy for a long time? It changes the game, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. When autosomal DNA, that's the DNA that's in the first 22 chromosomes, first came out in roughly about 2010, things begin to change for genealogists because now we can use the markers to track relatives back in time. And it's really changed how we do genealogy for most of the genealogical population.
You're an interesting case because your family history goes back to revolutionary times, colonial times.
Right.
What does this add to what you already knew?
Well, it helps facilitate our understanding of the family. It broadens the family for you. I had family lines going back, but I might not find cousins who were like fourth or fifth cousins, and they would give me links back to their ancestors who would be brothers or sisters to the people that I already had in my tree. And so I could build my tree into a more solid picture of what it was like in those days.
What are most people looking for when they seek out your guidance on how to build out the family tree or look for other things in their DNA? What's everybody looking for?
It's interesting because a lot of times the joke is that they got it as a gift for a holiday, and they're only looking at their ethnicity, which is probably the least scientific of all the aspects that you get. But a lot of people are interested in the medical information that's held in there, and not all companies report that. There's just a couple that report particularly on carrier status and medical aspects of your DNA. But when they're in it just as genealogists and looking for family, then really what they want to know is, okay, I've got my results, what do I do next? What do I do with these results? And that's where we come in and we kind of provide guidance to people or teach classes about how to take those results and then contact your matches, your DNA matches, or to work on different family trees to break through brick walls and find earlier ancestors.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about how to make use of this new genetic testing technology, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also email me a question. The email address is livequestions@mpt.org. You mentioned you teach classes. You have a couple coming up
Yes.
at two different community colleges. Talk about the popularity of that, and who are the students? I mean, these aren't college kids, right?
These are usually adults, and many times they're retired also. They've gotten interested in genealogy, so they're doing that in their retirement and that. Occasionally we get younger people in, and some of them are interested in perhaps doing research for DAR to join the Daughters of American Revolution or such. But the ones that take the DNA courses, they're the ones that are really beyond that point. They've already done some research with documentation, and they've got some lines that are already expanded that they can identify ancestors with. But then they join us because they've run into brick walls and the documentation is not there, and they need to try to find out if there's other people they match who have that history and can share that.
Let's take a call. Baltimore City, this is Richard. Richard, thanks for the call. Go ahead. Richard, you're on.
My family has been in the Owens Mills area for over 200 years. And I'd like to made a reference recently about the uses of DNA for cousins, fourth and fifth cousins. I'd like to would you be able to locate them and where they are if they're in the database, or do you have a source to follow up on it?
Great questions. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the answer to the question really is it depends.
Well, it depends if they're in the pool, right?
That's right. You have to be in the pool, and the cousin has to be in the pool to be found, to make the link, the genetic link between the two. If that happens, then yes, you have the possibility of matching. And
how would you connect with that person?
Well, you can do that via email.
So through the service?
Through the service, or some of the services actually give you the email of the person. So, yep, it would primarily be by email.
How accurate is it? I mean, are there any cases where, we say this person is your fifth cousin and maybe they're not?
Well, when you get to fifth cousin level, you're beginning to test the limits. I work primarily with fourth cousins in. But I will take on a fifth cousin type match. They may not be a fifth cousin. They might be a sixth cousin. So the exact match may not be what the genetics tell you. Okay, it may be a generation one way or the other.
Let me take a step back to the technology for a second. To what degree is this like fingerprinting, where we all supposedly have unique fingerprints? Unless you're an identical twin with somebody, you have unique DNA.
Yes.
Correct. But there's pieces of that, and maybe talk about how some comes from the female side, some from the male side.
That's right. Actually, there's 4 types of DNA, and that is your Y chromosome, your X chromosome, your autosomal chromosomes, which are the first 22 chromosomes, and then it's also your mitochondrial. And each has different characteristics for tracing your ancestors back. The Y and the mitochondrial, the Y traces your male line back, and only men can take that test. The mitochondrial traces your mother's line back, and it goes back thousands of years, and you can match somebody exactly along those lines. The autosomal is sometimes called a cousin test because it's testing, you're getting bits of DNA from all your ancestors because you're inheriting 50% from your mother, 50% from your father, and they got theirs in turn from their parents and that. But the beautiful thing about the autosomal is that a man and a woman has it, so they can test and they can compare to each other. You don't have to be one sex or the other.
Viewer question by email: what kind of education do you need to become a genetic genealogist? There's no test for this, right? I mean, this is all new.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, but as it stands right now, you go out and you get education. You look for, like Andy and I have been to an institute, a summer institute, and taken courses in advanced genetic genealogy and things like that. So
you can start with Andy's introductory course.
Yes.
You said Howard Community College, Anne Arundel Community College.
Yes, at those two colleges, I co-teach with a friend, and we offer classes usually by the semester. Most of the time they're basic DNA classes. They last 5 weeks, 2 hours each, so it's 10 hours, and it gives you the basics. We also teach an advanced course occasionally also.
Phone call, Montgomery County. This is Mike. Mike, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, just want to know what is the consequences of data farming on DNA testing.
What do you mean by data farming?
Irresponsible companies.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you very much, sir. Who owns the data, and are they taking good care of it?
Yes, all the companies, they admit that the data is yours. That DNA is your data, and they have to protect it, just like credit cards or other information.
Which everybody does a great job protecting currently.
You're right. There's always a possibility that that data could be lost, but that's so small because they take a lot of precautions with the data.
How many people?
And then the other side of the coin is that there are some companies out there that are not reputable. And I've seen them in drugstores where you can buy tests and they really don't test your DNA, and you get back sort of fluff from them.
Well, how can we address that? I'll say it this way.
I don't know how to address it, but
the big names I've heard about are 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. Are there others that people should consider?
Yes. There's one of the first ones to begin is called Family Tree DNA. It's headquartered down in Houston, Texas. It has its own lab, and it's a very reputable company also.
What's this stuff cost?
The autosomal tests are the cheapest. They're around $99, but I would never pay that much for it. Wait for the sales around, the holidays. There's DNA Day, which happens to be April 25th. All the companies sell their kits very cheaply at that time. So you can get them for $49 or $59.
Let's take another call. Then I want to ask about adoptions. Anne Arundel County, this is George. George, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, I've heard a whole bunch of people that seem to have a heritage back to a king of France, and it just seems to be very suspicious, even if the guy was a real stud. So, can they confirm that all these tests really are legitimate?
All right, thank you very much. I mean, how many people come in and want to find out that they're related to the Queen of England or?
Oh, there are those.
Yeah.
And, if you were related to the Queen of England.
Are you related to the Queen of England?
No, I'm not. But
Okay.
I was related to Lady Diana.
Okay.
Okay, so she was princess for a while.
No, she probably didn't take the 23andMe test, so how do we know that?
No, it comes from looking at a sixth cousin match.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But I'll add to that The two tests that go back along the paternal or the maternal line, that DNA does not recombine, and so the mutations are very slow. And that's how they found out who Richard III was, by testing those types of DNA. The autosomal only will go back maybe about 5 or 6, 7 generations. Then it starts to be absorbed by newer DNA. So you can't use that to find out if you're related to a king or
What
whoever.
are you looking for? Certainly a lot of people in adoption situations are looking to connect.
Yes.
And I guess that didn't work when the technology wasn't there and there was nobody in the pool. But now that there are a lot of people in the pool, how does that work? If somebody was looking for your advice on how to do that, what would you say?
I would say that to go for it, because it's very effective now for several reasons. The databases have grown to that point where you can make good matches, connections through those matches. And the other thing is that it is so cheap. The methodology has evolved enough, people doing these birth parent searches, that they know how to do it. And there's plenty of people out there called search angels that'll help people find their birth parents.
And most of those do that for free.
Really?
Yeah, no fee. And that's very valuable. I have experience doing just that. And it's rewarding for me to do. I enjoy doing it because I get to help people find information about their families that they couldn't have gotten otherwise.
Let's take a call from Sussex County. This is Paul. Paul, thank you for the call. Go ahead. Paul, you're on. Go ahead.
This is Paul in Selbyville, Delaware. Two questions medically. Can this information be used to track if there was cancer in the family, and also maybe a medical condition such as Down syndrome?
Very good. Thank you, sir. And that's not your particular area of expertise here, but certainly there's a lot of genes that are increasingly being fingered for different diseases. What do you know about it?
And 23andMe is one of the companies that does a lot of that. They had a period where the FDA pulled them back from doing a lot of the analysis because the FDA wasn't sure that it was valid. They have now met the FDA guidelines for that, and they're approved for doing genetic. It's not really genetic counseling, but at least telling
open the door to
where
it,
you
I
have
guess.
if you have traits. Yes.
They will show you where you have perhaps a carrier status for a mutation that may cause that, but they're very careful about warning people that, to go to your doctor, have a definite medical test that these are carrier status reports, not medical reports.
Here's an email question from a viewer who, for whatever reason, is concerned that if our DNA is supposed to be protected, what access would law enforcement have to solve criminal cases?
Yeah, that's a recent issue.
So, let me put a finer point on it. Once you spit in the tube, we should all, I guess it's like, the driver's license on your car, but you're putting one on your body.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And it is a concern. The main concern is with a program called GEDmatch, and GEDmatch is a free program that is available for people to upload their data into. Andy talked about the raw data, and you just upload your raw data, and then it can be used for adoption, or it can be used but on a limited basis only for criminal detection.
Here's an email question. How big is the genetic pool? And also at the same time, is it domestic United States? Is it global? Do you see more of this in different countries?
Yeah, it's actually, the United States is probably leading the world in terms of it. But it's about 20 million people in the U.S. companies that have tested, and it's a significant database. It's large.
And it's growing like crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's unbelievable, because it was just a couple of years ago, it was like 10 million. I mean, it's just doubled in no time.
All right, so we've talked about the local family history adoption. We've talked about the broader family history in terms of where somebody is from. There's also, there are some surprises that have come along, and I'm thinking there's a well-known, terrific news anchor at CNBC who wrote a book about his experience doing this and finding out that the person he thought was his biologic father was not.
Yes.
How often have you seen situations where the data don't match up with the relationship that people are telling me about?
That is absolutely true, and that happens every day. People are finding out that they have, that they're not somebody's brother, or that their father's not their father, and so forth. That's one of the warnings that all the companies now have put out, that you're going to learn things perhaps that you didn't know about, and it's going to be revealed through DNA. One of the quips is that DNA does not lie; the documentation can. But that's what's leading a lot of the adoptees to their birth parents.
Let's go back to the phones. Prince George's County. This is Edith. Edith, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi. So I just lost one of my parents, and the other one I lost quite some time ago, and I've lost all my grandparents. But years ago, they were interested in genealogy. So we actually have our genealogy back, and I've discovered that we're descended from 3 very prominent families back to the 1600s and 1700s in this country. So I'm still interested in differentiating the grandchildren's DNA, which is all we have left. And my mother, I was able to preserve some hair follicles, that's all. And I don't know if that's adequate to then differentiate the father and the mother.
Very interesting question. Edith, thank you very much. Can you go from an old sample like that?
They are trying.
And then
yes.
there's the ethics of it, but...
That's true. There's a couple of companies that are trying to break through that with new technology and methodologies and such. Not only, they call that artifact testing, so there's hair, but they're, up to this point, it's been hair follicles. You've got to have the follicle attached, not just the clipping. The other thing is there's interest in postage stamps and envelopes that might have been sealed in the past by a parent or such. And I would tell the caller, I would recommend to hang on to this stuff for the time being, that it's coming along, and it might be here sooner than we expect.
The most famous recent genetic test was presidential candidate Senator Warren, who was seeking to prove Native American ancestry. How often do people you encounter believe that there is Native American ancestry, and how often does the data back it up?
The data doesn't back it up as often as you would think. But there are people out there who have both mtDNA, which is the mitochondrial DNA, and Y-DNA that can prove Native American heritage. Their autosomal can prove it also, but it's more difficult because you have to link with somebody else who is
right.
of the same type, has the same segments.
And I had mentioned that with autosomal, because it's being replaced at every generation by newer DNA, that you go back, say, 5 or 6 generations when perhaps that Native American entered the DNA pool there, it may have faded out entirely.
Let's get one more phone call. Garrett County, this is Gary. Gary, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Recently I had some testing done. Okay, where the results listed, my background by nationality. Okay, and is this the same testing that you all were talking about, where you're comparing to people?
Thanks very much for the phone call, and explain maybe how you go deeper.
Well, the problem with doing ethnicity, that's what he's talking about, I believe.
I think that's what he got, and he wants to know if he can get more.
Well, it gets updated, and at the company where he is, they will update it so he doesn't have to go looking for more. In essence, they'll update as they learn more about the indigenous populations where they're predicting.
Very good. Chuck and Andy, we're going to have to leave it there. Really appreciate the visit.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much. No
Thank you.
samples necessary. You can take your cups with you.
All right.
We're back Thursday with Your Money in Business. Thanks for watching Direct Connection, and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.